Spring Television. Ours it is.
Here are the top stories of the news. Gunmen kidnap retired colonel and his 2 children in Zamfara. APC and PDP presidential campaign councils dismiss former President Obasanjo's endorsement of Peter Obi. On the foreign scene, Catholics set to pay their respects in the Vatican to former Pope Benedict XVI. Good afternoon and welcome to Spring News at 12 on Western Spring Television. My name is Damilola Raphael. Gunmen suspected to be bandits have kidnapped a retired colonel, Rabiu Yandoto, and his 2 children on the Guzo-Tafe Road in Zamfara State. An indigene of the area, Mohammed Hassan, said Yandoto was going to his hometown together with his 2 children last night when he was ambushed by bandits and taken to the forest. Yandoto is a close political rival to Senator Kabiru Marafa and has been campaigning against Marafa's ambition of winning election in 2023. He is the leader of a Zamfara All Progressives Congress political group with the sole aim of ensuring that Kabiru Marafa does not win the senatorial seat come 2023. 8 persons have been confirmed dead in separate accidents on the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway and the Benin-Shagamu Expressway. 22 people were also injured in the accidents which occurred yesterday. Confirming the accident on the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, the sector commander of the Federal Road Safety Corps in Ogun State, Ahmed Umar, said the incident involved a Toyota Hiace bus and a tanker. Umar said the accident was caused by excessive speeding by the bus driver who lost control of the vehicle and rammed into the tanker from behind. Meanwhile, in the accident on the Shagamu-Benin Expressway, 1 person was killed while 6 others sustained injuries. To politics, former President Olusegun Obasanjo yesterday endorsed the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, as his preferred contestant for the 2023 general election. In his 2023 New Year message, personally signed by the ex-president and made available by his spokesman, Kehinde Akinyemi, Obasanjo described Obi as his mentee and says the former Anambra State governor has an edge in the February 25, 2023 election. He also described the last 7 years of the Buhari administration as horrible and hell on earth for most Nigerians. Appraising the suitability of the presidential standard bearers, Obasanjo accused them of deceit, adding that some of them had been trumpeting what was not realistic in a desperate bid to win the election. The ex-president expressed anguish over the terrible state of the nation, stressing that the presidential candidate did not realize that Nigeria had been dragged down well below the level it was when he assumed office in 1999. Saying that Obi possessed the attributes and attitudes necessary to successfully directing the affairs of Nigeria at a time like this, Obasanjo expressed support for Obi and called on Nigerian youths to vote for him. In the meantime, the All Progressives Congress Presidential Campaign Council has dismissed former President Olusegun Obasanjo's endorsement of Labour Party presidential candidate Peter Obi, describing it as worthless. Obasanjo endorsed the Labour Party presidential candidate yesterday, listing several criteria. But in a statement which he admitted that the former Nigerian president has the right to pick a candidate, the director, media and publicity of the council, Bayo Ononuga, was quick to water down the move. He said the former president does not possess any political goodwill or leverage anywhere in Nigeria to make anyone win a councillorship election, let alone win a presidential election. Similarly, the Atiku Okowa Presidential Campaign Organization says the subjective support for Labour Party presidential candidate Peter Obi by former President Olusegun Obasanjo is his personal wish. The spokesperson of the organization, Kola Ologbondiyan, said in a statement in Abuja that Obasanjo's wish did not reflect the opinion or position of overwhelming majority of Nigerians across the country. He, however, said while the former president was entitled to his personal opinion, as remarkable as it may appear, it remained individualistic. He added that the wish could not redirect Nigerians from their determination to rally with the more experienced, more proficient, and more accepted presidential candidate of PDP, Atiku Abubakar, to rescue and rebuild the nation. Ologbondiyan said surprisingly, in the face of the alarming challenges facing Nigeria, which required a tried and tested hand, Obasanjo was not suggesting a candidate with experience in governance at national level. Meanwhile, presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, has visited the Wasa IDP camp located in the Apod resettlement area of the Federal Capital Territory and restated his pledge to tackle insecurity. The IDP camp houses over 6,000 persons, mostly from the northeast and northwest regions. Mr. Obi said his visit to the camp is not campaign, but to spend the first day of the new year with the people and ascertain their condition of living. He expressed dissatisfaction at the deplorable state in which he met the displaced persons. According to him, Nigerians should not be displaced in their fatherland and be left to wallow in poverty, reiterating his position that if there are IDP camps in Nigeria, then Nigeria itself is an IDP camp. The former Anambra State governor promised to deal decisively with insecurity if elected president of Nigeria in 2023. Mr. Obi donated food items to the Wasa IDP camp and cash of 1.5 million naira. In other news, men of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, have arrested a Brazil returnee, Agbasi Prosper, with 105 parcels of cocaine concealed in candies at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport, Ikeja, Lagos, on Christmas Day. The suspect was nabbed at the de-arrival hall of the MMIA during inward clearance of passengers from Sao Paulo, Brazil, via Doha on Qatar Airways. The agency's spokesperson, Femi Babafemi, in a statement, said an initial search of the suspect's two bags did not reveal anything incriminating, but NDLEA officers took a second look at his duty-free shopping nylon bags containing packs of candies. Babafemi noted that a thorough examination of the bags revealed that the packs of candies concealed 105 parcels of cocaine weighing 2.8 kilograms and 43 grams of cannabis. The NDLEA arrested 3 traffickers with a total of 256 kilograms of illicit substances seized from them during interdiction operations in Kwara, Kogi, and Niger states. The Nigerian Meteorological Agency has predicted dust haze weather conditions from Monday to Wednesday across the country. NIMET's weather outlook released in Abuja predicted thick dust haze with horizontal visibility of less or equal to 1,000 meters over the northern region during the forecast period on Monday. The agency predicted thick dust haze on Tuesday with horizontal visibility of less or equal to 1,000 meters over the northern region during the forecast period. It forecast moderate dust haze over the north-central region with prospects of reduced horizontal visibility to 1,000 meters or less over parts of Niger, Benue, Kwara, and the Federal Capital Territory. You're watching Spring News at 12 on Western Spring Television. We will be right back after this break.
Arrested, affected, sound, found. What do we see? What do we say? Flowing from a spring. A fact A to Z. Check and confirm. Ever expounding current events. Traveling down from the business gist to the globally arising happenings, to the sports news, to the bittersweet infos. Guided transmission, even diffusion, vast and fast, detailed facts, are fled. Within seconds, nuggets of words that flew across borders are fired. Stories short and long, wrapped in bundles of words, broken and dissected as it is, except misheard. This is the news as it is.
You're welcome back. Governor of Kaduna State, Nasir El-Rufai, has approved the release of 11 prisoners from the Nigerian Correctional Service in celebration of the New Year 2023. This is an exercise of the powers conferred on him by Section 212 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and on the recommendation of the Advisory Council on the Prerogative of Mercy. This was disclosed in a statement issued on Sunday by the governor's special advisor on media and publicity and communication, Muyiwa Adekeye. He said the pardoned convicts include those serving jail sentences of 3 years or more who have 6 months or fewer to complete their term, as well as long-term prisoners who have served 10 years or more of the sentence with good conduct and convicts suffering from ill health likely to terminate in death. Meanwhile, Governor El-Rufai thanks the people of the state for the opportunity to serve them and for their understanding and support over the years. He also asked them for continued commitment to peace and prosperity, hoping that the hard work done since 2015 to make the state better and improve lives will continue with the next government. Meanwhile, in Ondo State, Governor of Ondo State, Oluwarotimi Akeredolu, has granted state pardons to 7 convicts awaiting execution at various correctional facilities within the state. The governor commuted the convictions of the 7 prisoners who are awaiting execution from death sentences to life in prison. Also, 4 inmates serving varying jail terms had their sentences reduced, while 7 others were released when it was determined that they had behaved well while in incarceration. The state's Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice, Charles Titiluyi, disclosed in a statement that Governor Akeredolu's act was done in the spirit of the Yuletide. The prisoners were urged to take advantage of the chance to turn a new leaf and to refrain from any action that will send them back to the institutions. Catholics will today be able to pay their respects in the Vatican to former Pope Benedict XVI, whose body will lie in state for 3 days at St. Peter's Basilica before his funeral. The German theologian, who died on Saturday, aged 95, led the Catholic Church for 8 years before becoming the first pope in 6 centuries to step down in 2013. His successor, Pope Francis, will lead the funeral on Thursday in the vast St. Peter's Square before his remains are laid to rest in the tombs beneath St. Peter's Basilica. Benedict died at a monastery inside the Vatican Gardens, which had been his home for the past decade. His body will today be transferred to the Basilica, where for 3 days during the daytime, the faithful will be able to say goodbye. The Vatican has said Benedict's funeral will be solemn but simple, after which he will be buried in the papal tombs under St. Peter's Basilica. The Vatican has yet to release details of the guest list, beyond saying that it will include delegations from Italy and Benedict's native Germany. Dozens of inmates have escaped from a prison in northern Mexico after gunmen suspected to be members of the drug cartel opened fire on the facility. Authorities say the men arrived outside the Chihuahua State Prison in armored vehicles and began firing on the guards. 10 were killed, along with 4 prisoners, during the audacious and brutal attack in the border city of Ciudad Juarez. Police say some 24 inmates escaped. Fighting within the prison, where inmates from different criminal bands and drug cartels are housed in separate cell blocks, also left 13 people injured. Prison authorities said 4 of them are being treated in hospital. Outside, relatives gathered, hugging each other and crying as they waited for news. The Army and the National Guard have been called in to support local authorities in the aftermath. In South America, Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva has been sworn in as the new president of Brazil, the third time he has held the country's highest office. The veteran left-wing politician, known widely as Lula, also led the country between 2003 and 2010 and defeated Jair Bolsonaro in October's poll. In his first speech, Lula vowed to rebuild a country in terrible ruins. He decried the policies of his predecessor, who went to the United States on Friday to avoid the handover ceremony. Lula supporters gathered in front of Congress since early in the morning, decked out in the red color of his Workers' Party. They traveled to see their leader sworn in, but also for a celebration. Talking business, Managing Director, International Monetary Fund, IMF, Kristalina Georgieva, has warned that a third of the global economy will face recession this year. Georgieva spoke in an interview with American network CBS. She said economic activities in the United States, the European Union, and China are all slowing simultaneously. Georgieva further explained that the rapid spread of COVID-19 in China, especially now that the government has dropped its severe containment policy, means that the country faces a fresh economic blow in the short term. She says the next couple of months will be tough for China due to the spread of the deadly virus. To sports, Brazilians will this week bid a final farewell to football giant Pelé, starting today with a 24-hour public wake at the stadium of his longtime team, Santos. The oceanside home of the team is expecting a huge influx of fans looking to honor the king of football, who died aged 82 on Thursday after a long battle with cancer. Stadium doors will open this afternoon, and the coffin bearing the remains of the only player to have won 3 World Cups will be displayed in the center of the field. Known as Vila Belmiro after the neighborhood where it is located, the black and white stadium has a capacity of 16,000 people. After that, a procession will be held through the streets of Santos, a port city about 75 kilometers from the state capital, Sao Paulo. The parade will pass the house of Pelé's mother, 100-year-old Celeste Arantes, who is unaware that her world-famous son has died. The procession will end at a cemetery in Santos, where Pelé will be interred in a special mausoleum. To tennis, Novak Djokovic received a positive welcome back to Australia as he made a rare doubles appearances at the Adelaide International. The Serb was deported prior to the 2022 Australian Open because of his COVID-19 vaccination status. Djokovic's 3-year visa ban was overturned in November, allowing him to enter the country. He and Canada's Vasek Popsiil were beaten 4-6, 6-3, 10-5 by Tomislav Bakic and Gonzalo Escobar on his return. The 21-time Grand Slam champion enjoyed overwhelming support from the crowd throughout the match. The 35-year-old, currently ranked world number 5, stayed behind after the defeat to sign autographs and take photographs with fans. And before we end the news, here is a recap of our top stories. Gunmen suspected to be bandits have kidnapped a retired colonel, Rabiu Yandoto, and his 2 children on the Guzo-Tafe Road in Zamfara State. The All Progressives Congress Presidential Campaign Council and the Atiku Okowa Presidential Campaign Organization have dismissed former President Olusegun Obasanjo's endorsement of Labour Party presidential candidate Peter Obi. On the foreign scene, Catholics will today be able to pay their respects in the Vatican to former Pope Benedict XVI, whose body will lie in state for 3 days at St. Peter's Basilica before his funeral. That ends Spring News at 12 on Western Spring Television. I am Damilola Raphael. Thanks for watching.